Well, on a slightly different note, okay? Movies. I don't think I've ever brought up the subject in any one of my videos on here, but I normally don't go for blockbuster movies or anything nominated by the Academy Awards, okay? I'm more of an independent person. I like independent films. I like films that raise questions that don't pose easy answers, and that are not necessarily roo-rah-rah, patriotic. You know, some hero has to emerge, some action hero has to win the day, and that's why I didn't like Avatar. Avatar was one of those films which is a feel-good movie. You know, we can all feel good for supporting the oppressed in that movie, but the answers are somewhat too easy because they aren't true. Not in reality. So, like I say, I tend to favor films which hardly anyone sees, and so I would recommend two films to you. And this is somewhat unusual because it's actually, you can actually stream those two films on Netflix if you happen to be a member of Netflix, which I am. Probably the only site where, and yeah, it's corporate, okay. Probably the only site where I can rent any kind of movie, at least on DVD, which might be considered controversial as far as the American media is concerned, or anywhere else for that matter. It's across the board. I found it very unusual that these two movies are actually played in streaming format on Netflix. So if you're even at the lowest tier on Netflix, you can actually watch those movies instantly. And most of those instant movies are basically crap as far as I'm concerned. But to my surprise, I came across two which I will recommend highly. One is a film called Moon. Now, not to be confused with other movies of that title, like The Moon or any movie of another title. It is simply called Moon. It's a sci-fi flick with a message, and it is not dependent on some sort of special action, let's say this technical extravaganza, which is often employed in action movies, you know, to suck you in. It operates on a psychological level, and it is actually far more than a sci-fi film as far as I'm concerned. So I would urge you to watch it. It brings up many questions, and I would caution you to pay very close attention to the very beginning of the movie, because, you know, sometimes you settle in at home, you watch a flick on your computer or something, well, beginning credits are rolling and you don't pay attention. Well, pay attention. Pay very close attention. Right from the very beginning. It contains both action and adventure, but of a different kind. I would think most of my subscribers would appreciate that film. Another film I would like to mention is The Messenger, also streaming on Netflix for the time being. The Messenger is a film about two U.S. Army guys assigned to basically inform the next of kin that their loved ones have died overseas in combat operations or something else. The film is very realistically acted. I mean, the acting in that film is absolutely superb. But the film itself is not about some sort of patriotic notion of any kind. It examines not the military or their procedures per se. It goes a lot deeper into human psychology. It's a good film. I think the only blockbuster movie, oh well, okay, I'll admit it. The few blockbuster films I've actually liked were E.T., and Apollo 13, as opposed to The Right Stuff. You know, Apollo 13 was about the space mission, you know, of those astronauts. But again, you know, it wasn't just about patriotism. It was about human interaction, you know. Well, and E.T., of course, was about interaction with extraterrestrials. So, yeah, I know Stephen Hawking doesn't think that might be a good idea, but, you know, hey, I think I'd rather have an E.T. in my home than Karl Rove. On that note, good night.